Can you beat Plants vs Zombies 2 with only single-use plants? The amount of plants we have at our disposal, it may seem like a cakewalk to get through the whole game, but there are an equal amount of weaknesses that we come up against throughout each of the worlds that make it just as hard as any other challenge run. Before we get to that though, here are the rules. First of all, any plants that I don't place, I will try my best to dig up. Secondly, I'll attempt any gimmick levels, but I can't promise they'll be possible. And lastly, I'm only allowed a maximum of 2 premium plants per level, unless it needs more, because it might just be way too easy. And with everything covered, let's move on to the tutorial. This challenge actually starts on day 3 of the tutorial, which is when we get the potato mine, our first single-use plant and only damaging one for a long time. Thankfully, it is strong enough to hold off the last couple of days of the tutorial until Dave Crazy III decides to invent time travel and bring us to ancient Egypt for some reason. Now, I don't want to add any new plants we get to a tier list, so I'm going to slap Potato Mine in A tier because while it's good, it does still have quite a few weaknesses that will come up very soon. Before that though, the Potato Mine is still good enough to keep off some zombies, but I just need to make sure I place it as soon as I can because it takes quite a decent amount of time to arm. Or I can just use plant food, which lets it duplicate and in turn be ready instantly, and there was no shot of that in day 1. Day 2 was the power-ups level, which either way had respawning mowers, so it would have been possible if I didn't use them. Day 3 is where the biggest problem with this challenge becomes apparent, and that is too many zombies. And this is also another reason why I didn't use potato mines in day 2. It would have just been too hard. Anyways, the camel zombies is what I mean as too many zombies in this level, because as they move in a line, I can't really kill all of them with one potato mine. So I'm going to bring in our first premium plant, the jalapeno, which can just... And while it's good, I am going to put it in C tier because of its high cost and single lane capabilities. But either way, day 4 was a conveyor belt, meaning that was impossible. And while day 5 was a given plants level, it did give me potato mines, which means I just lost a few mowers. Day 6 was another conveyor belt, and day 7 was quite close with only 2 mowers to spare, which might end up being a trend in this challenge. Day 8 introduces a zombie that may seem quite problematic in other challenge runs, but with the iceberg lettuce and single use plants, it can't really do anything. With that said, the iceberg lettuce is going to go into A tier because the only problem with it is that it can only freeze one zombie at a time unless you use plant food. Day 9 was where the problem of large holes really becomes a big issue, as it level with no mowers at all. And that is the same with day 10 and 11, with day 10 being inches away from losing and day 11 requiring a plant food purchase for it to be possible. But to be fair on myself, it was a given plants level when I only really had potato mines to deal with them. Day 12, like most other levels, left me with no mowers, and day 13 banned us from planting on Dave's weird science experiment. Oh no. Whatever those are, but it was quite easy. Day 14 though is where we start developing some stalling tactics, and the first one is by grabbing the sun just before the guy gets it. What's it called? I need to find out what's it called. Raw? I'm not calling it a raw zombie. First is by grabbing the sun just before this guy gets it, as it completely stops him in his tracks so he can get a bit emotional before again moving on. And the other one is by using the best plant in the whole game, the Grave Buster, to basically just let itself get killed. Day 15 was a level where I had to protect these plants. I'm fucked. I'm actually fucked. So apart from a close call, the sunflowers owe me big time. Day 16 was another all mower level, as the plants I use have less than ideal recharge time. Day 17 really wanted to scare me with 58 torch zombies, but as I said, they ain't shit. Give me... I don't want to do that bit. Day 18 is the first of many last stand levels, and as I can't use the iceberg lettuce and the jalapeno has to charge, it is all potato mines, which did cost me most mowers, but we did win. Day 19 brought Dave's slime chunks back and made sure we didn't plant too much, which is quite fine by me, with fine being only just beatable. Day 20 is impossible with the plants we have, as I can't really plant them in time as they have 2 decades of recharge. So for now, like all impossible levels, we will leave that to the end of the challenge as I'll be more equipped and knowledgeable from then. Day 21 was grave central but easy enough, and day 22 just had way too many zombies for me to handle. What? Day 23 introduced the gargantuan zombie, which was quite easy with my plants. Day 24 was another last stand level, which, let's see if this is possible. I don't know how many waves this is gonna have, so it might screw up. this time was way easier. And finally, day 25 was a boss fight. My taco tastes so close. I can smell it. That doesn't still sound that way. What did that guy have against tacos and meat eating number? Nom nom nom. Bah, my reasoning is simple yet beyond your comprehension. Blah 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 blah. Okay. This one is not going to be possible with single use plants because it's a conveyor belt. I can't believe it. I can't. Right, there we go. And he's already dead. And that is the key to pirate seas. It's a pirate key, a piratey. Sounds salty. Taco ahoy. Oh god. This world holds our next unlockable plant with the cherry bomb right at the end of the world. But before we get anywhere near to that, we need to begin dealing with the new layout as there's gaps in the map where pirates can swing in from. But day 1 was easy enough to beat with the plants we have, so hopefully I should be able to handle these levels. There's unlikely to be something that I can't damage with the potato mine, right? So I'd like to introduce my favourite plant, the squash, who is the only plant in my arsenal that can actually do anything to the seagull zombie. Not even throwing food on the ground would do anything. To be real though, if more than one seagull zombie appears in a level, it'll be very difficult, and it's only day 2. With that said, the squash is the first plant going into the S tier because, as you'll see in the future, the seagull zombie isn't the only one that only the squash can take out. Thankfully though, it does leave us alone for the next few levels. With our new plants, day 3 and day 4 come and go without any mowers being needed at all. And from day 4 we do get some treasure. Maybe it was the sunflowers. Maybe not. Moving on to day 5, the seagull zombies are back in business and decided they wanted to screw everything up with all of them appearing at once, but after a few attempts I was somehow able to make it work. I don't really know myself. Day 6 has to be one of the closest calls ever, with this last zombie completely dodging the jalapeno and being less than a second away from me losing the level. Holy. That is insane. Day 7 introduces a barrel roll zombie who can trample some plants, except the jalapeno and squash, both of which can take it out quite easily. Either way, day 7 costed all of our mowers, which was quite sad. Day 8 was a conveyor belt, and day 9 thought it could scare me by cutting out most of the lawn, I guess it's called, but it completely failed. Now day 10 was easy enough, but day 11 introduced a ton of Minecraft spawner blocks that I could only reasonably take out using the squash's plant food. It was too late though, and 50 fuckers had already made it through, and sadly after a good few attempts I still couldn't beat it. Day 12 was a welcome revenge on all the seagull pricks, which was very satisfying. Like the impossible levels, the levels where I need to produce sun will also be left to the end because I did initially want to try and restrict any sun plants to a singular world, but I didn't end up keeping with that. Day 14 was the first last stand level in Pirate Seas, which not only was still restricted to just potato mines, but was also restricted to not using the planks at all, as I couldn't plant there. And if that wasn't bad enough, a squash has to recharge. These 2 seagull zombies make it basically impossible to complete it. So skipping that level, day 15 introduces a line of flowers that we can't let the zombies cross, which means we can't use our lawnmowers at all. And it also brings the spawner blocks, which I couldn't deal with. Day 16 is an endangered plants level with the spring beans, and while it was difficult, it was completely possible. I can't believe that's possible. Day 17 was also incredibly difficult, but using squash's plant food it could be completed thankfully. Holy. Day 18 was a given plants level which I can't beat with only iceberg lettuce. Who would have guessed? Day 19 was sun related and flowers, which is an awful combo and completely undoable. Day 20 was another sun level. And day 21, I'll just let my past self explain. Yeah, actually. What is it with this world and the sun levels? Now, here is the absolute worst level in this world. Just look at how many zombies there are before the last wave. This was without a single wave. So, who would have guessed? It's impossible. Yeah, I don't think this is possible. Day 23 was another impossible level, and while the first attempt did look promising, the only way I was able to make it work was with something I haven't unlocked yet. Completing the hat trick, day 24 was also impossible due to the spring beans and the seagulls. With those covered, we now have the boss fight, which was actually quite close. And with Zomboss defeated, we now unlock the key to Wild West. With the cherry bomb now part of my arsenal, I'm going to start by putting it in B tier because while it's amazing, there is a better plant I start using in future worlds, but either way we have a great loadout, and with the minecarts added in Wild West, I don't need to worry as much as what lanes I put my plants on because somehow Potato might work in moving carts. Anyways, with that said, day 1 is a complete breeze because of those. Day 2 introduces the prospector zombies that change absolutely nothing for our challenge, and sometimes they just... Day 3 introduces the piano guy, but it doesn't really do much for us. It just moves the zombies around a small bit. Day 4 gives us plants, but in a really weird way. The biggest thing about it though is that it unlocks the chili bean, our next plant, which is the second plant in the S tier because while it can't kill as many things as a squash, it can kill and stun zombies behind it, making it amazing. With a new plant, we complete day 5 without a single problem, and day 6 is a last stand level, and once again, we just plant potato mines, which also didn't give us a problem. Day 7 was much the same with it being quite easy, but then it was followed by day 8, which is the gargantuan level, which was actually quite close. Day 9 was a given plants level, and day 10 is where everything starts to go downhill. Remember when I said that the biggest problem in this challenge is large hordes of zombies? Well, let me introduce you to the epitome of this problem, the chicken wrangler zombies, which once damaged, stunned, or literally touching anything, it releases the chickens, and while the wiki says that it can be countered by the chili bean, they can't. When the chicken wrangler starts eating the chili bean, the chickens release and then they eat it first, which is annoying. So day 10 is completely impossible because of that, but it's fine as long as we don't get many more chicken wranglers. Thankfully though, we are left alone for day 11, which might cause some problems in other rounds, but my loadout is full of cheap plants, so it's completely fine. Day 12 was another weird level which we can't do. Day 13 introduces the zombie ball, which again doesn't mean shit to me. Now, day 14 the prick is back, but it's alright, I didn't even want to win the level anyways. Day 15 introduces a new type of level, which is literally the bane of this challenge, as I'm not allowed to lose any plants, and that's kind of the whole thing with these plants. Day 16 is one endangered walnut, which is easy enough to save as it's on a minecart. Day 17 is a flower level, which is quite close to the front of the lawn, but is thankfully, after one fail, completable. Oh, we did it. Chat. We did it. Why did I say chat? I'm not sure, man. Day 18 and day 19 is another don't lose plants level. Okay, well, these gimmicks are really getting on my nerves. Day 20 is another weird level. Day 21 has 2 conditions, both of which don't affect me at all. Day 22 is another given plants level, which I attempted, but day 23 is another don't lose plants level. Now I have one guess, and if this next day is possible, just by this frame. Either way, day 25 was easy enough, thankfully, which gives us the key to Frostbite Caves. Frostbite Caves. I'm gonna be honest, this world took the absolute piss, which we'll see later. Before that though, this world has 2 plants that I unlock. One of them is a tool which melts ice, which I'm gonna slap into D tier as I literally forget it exists. And there's one stun, which is kind of just a chili bean without the damage. And because of that, it's gonna go into B tier. Brr, it's colder than a polar bear eating an ice pot. That is cold, to be fair. This one has a feature of freezing plants with icy wind, and while it doesn't really affect me much, a lot of the worlds do have frozen plants. For example, these walnuts on day 1, which I try to avoid de-icing, but either way they'll normally get shoveled. Day 2 doesn't bring anything different, so it was easy enough. And day 3 is a conveyor, which is annoying. Hurricane would be a great use. Oh, this is one I can do. Day 4 introduces the average person on a snow day where they just toss snowballs at you, and that somehow freezes the plants, but they don't threaten me. Day 5 is a... Are they going to be given plants? Or is it conveyor? Another conveyor. And day 6 introduces a new gimmick. I love these gimmicks. Oh my... Oh wait, most. And it's just completely annoying as it gives us most of the plants they want us to use, but for now it is possible with the cherry bomb and potato mine. These pointers move the zombies to a different lane, which for day 7 just completely dooms them, and day 8, if you could guess, was another conveyor. Day 9 introduces the dodo bird, which ends up being quite a big difficulty as they could just completely fly over my plants, meaning I need to see where they're going to land and plant things as soon as I can. And even with a few, this day was very difficult. From now onwards, the levels start getting incredibly annoying, so let me list off all the impossible levels. There is day 10, 11, 13, 14, 16, 18, 21, 23, 24, 25, 28, 29, and also 30, which is also half of the levels. Day 10 was my favourite and another conveyor. Oh my god. Day 11 gave me most of my plants as well as spawning a lot of dodo birds, which made it impossible for me. Nah, it's impossible. Day 12 is where the icy wind actually affects me, as the last stand level type requires me to leave most of my plants stationary, so they'll probably get caught by it and freeze, and they do, but with the help from hot potato it's possible after losing a couple mowers. Day 13 is a flower level but sends so many zombies, mostly just imps, making it completely impossible in my eyes. Day 14, day 15 had 2 endangered pepper poults that couldn't really do shit for themselves, making me fail multiple times until I thankfully beat it. Day 16, day 17 introduces the troglodyte zombie, which starts pushing 3 imps trapped in ice, but as I don't need to attack the ice, I could just kill the souls quite easily. Day 18 is another. Day 19 gives me most of the plants, but it also ends up having 2 that I can use, so it was a breeze for me. And it also unlocks the Stunyon. Day 20 was difficult because of the dodos and left me with 1 mower, which was quite worrying. Day 21 was the... Is this another conveyor? Another conveyor belt. Day 22 introduces the B-Tech chicken wrangler with the weasel hold-up, who, unlike the chicken wrangler, can be countered quite easily with a stun and insta-kill, as it only triggers when it's damaged and unstunned. Now, these do become a big issue in the next day, day 23, because no matter how much I try it, it's sadly completely impossible. Day 24 is a sun level. Wait, oh. Are you kidding me? Another conveyor. Day 26, I was so close to failing, surviving with only a single mower. Day 27 was also incredibly close, starting with the troglodyte being 1 spot away from shoving the endangered plants off the edge, and in general being low on mowers. And that was before the final wave, which brought 2 gargantuans with it. And to be fair, they were the least of my worries, but the 2 imps and the TGF video idea were the real issues, being very close to losing me the attempt. Look at how many imps there were. Day 28 was a last stand level, which was completely impossible, as it mixed freezing plants with weasels, which just made it absolute hell. Day 29 was another gimmick, given plants level, and I'm just going to skip over it. And finally, day 30 was the boss fight, which wasn't too bad itself. It gave me the key to the Lost City, but that'll have to wait until next time. Wow, okay. Lost City, guys. Hooray! We left part 1 off at the end of Frostbite Caves, meaning we are now in the Lost City, which is mostly different because of the gold towers on the floor, which gives sun occasionally, and also when something is planted on them, but as my plants are single use, I'll mostly never get more than 1 lot of sun before the plant's used. Apart from that, day 1 is as regular as it gets, meaning it's quite easy. Day 2 introduces the parachute zombies, which kind of just appear from the air and don't really change anything. Day 3 is the first conveyor belt of the world. Oh, it's gonna be like selective plants. Oh, a conveyor belt, watch. Who would have guessed? Conveyor, oh my. And while it gives me the lava guava, it isn't possible when I tried it. Either way, the lava guava is awful, so it's in D tier. Day 4 introduces the shovel zombie, which, if you couldn't guess, shovels plants up and also throws them behind them. Oh, and it can also block projectiles, which isn't a problem. Other than that, it's easy enough. Day 5 is another conveyor level, meaning we can't beat it. And while the cherry bomb is in this one, it's only introduced later on, meaning I can't exclusively use it. Day 6 isn't very different, so let me quickly go over what this shovel zombie can shovel. The first, unsurprisingly, is the chili bean, meaning it's completely useless against it unless you place it right on the zombie after the shovel. The other plant is the unarmed potato mine, because when it's armed it just blows up. Day 7 introduces the umbrella zombie, which is meant to block anything coming from above, like with catapults. And the only plant I have which looks like it will be a problem is the squash, but it isn't one, which I only found out while getting some extra footage, so I don't think I ended up trying it. Day 8 is a given plants level which I can't complete using only the iceberg lettuce. Day 9 is another conveyor level which has one singular cherry bomb up for grabs, so I also can't beat that. Day 10 was completely normal, and day 11 introduces the flying zombie, which, like all other flying zombies, can only be dealt with using the cherry bomb and squash. Day 12 is a reduced sun level, and while I can't do that yet, I'm happy I didn't need to because of the gargantuan. Day 13 is once again another conveyor. Oh my god. And day 14, well, giving me the lava guava is impossible just because of how awful the lava guava actually is. It can't even kill a buckethead. Day 15 has 2 endangered plants who, opposed to the pepper pot in Frostbite Caves, can actually fend for themselves, so it was easy enough. Day 16 is the gargantuan level. What? But any single use plants I could get only come at the end of the level, so I can't even try it. I'm low-key dreading the later worlds, but I feel like I'm gonna jinx it, but this is incredibly easy, even with the normal plants. There's no real gimmicks that are, or special zombies that are giving me trouble, or a lot of trouble at least. Alert you today if my senses sense incoming importers. Oh, these guys. This shouldn't be difficult, I don't think. Day 17 introduces the imp porters who, after a few tiles, set up camp and spawn quite a few zombies, unless you kill them quickly, which I did for this level, so they're not a big issue. Day 18 is another conveyor belt, but introduces the Stalia, a free plant that slows zombies across 3 lanes, meaning I'll give it a fair B rating. Day 19 is where the imp portals actually become an issue, because every world has a habit of choosing a zombie and in a few levels sending them in all 5 rows, meaning in this case I can't get all of them before at least one is set up. Day 20 was, unlike most other levels, quite difficult, leaving me with a grand total of 1 mower, which is better than none, but is still quite bad for this world. Day 21 is another given plants level, but has no single use damaging plants. And day 22 was the same with that, but can still be beaten because of the traps, as if I planted them, it can kill the zombies and the plants. I'm not opposed to it. And I did it. Okay. Easiest world ever. Easiest world ever. Day 23 introduces the guy who's very, very difficult. Who the fuck's this? Lol. No, I'm joking. The level itself, though, was actually quite difficult with all mowers being used. Day 24 is a flowers level, which, other than losing 2 mowers to flying things, was completely fine. Day 25 gave me most of the plants to use, leaving me with 2 choices, and like the rest of this world, was actually quite easy, with me only losing 1 mower, which is quite good for 2 plants. Day 26 was quite a normal day with the addition of unlocking the gold leaf, which I would put in the didn't use category, but as it's forced into my loadout in a couple of levels, it gets a D rating. Day 27 introduces the only other difficult zombie that isn't the importer. I think I just saw a new zombie somewhere. What a great time to add a new zombie. With the cleverly named Turquoise Skull Zombie. I'm not joking, that's his name. They should know that. Around here, it's me. Anyways, this guy uses his skull to completely obliterate plants. Huh? Mostly just the chili bean. Damn, okay. Well, you don't see this, do you? And while I can deal with most of the zombies themselves, there were a lot on this level, meaning it was impossible. No, that's... Yeah, this is impossible. Yeah, there's no way I can do that. There's no way it's actually doable, in my opinion. Day 28 was another given level. If anyone could do this one with that, then go ahead. And day 29 was actually a difficult normal level, which, while possible, left me with only 2 mowers. Day 30 had even more science experiments from Dave, and while it costed most of my mowers, it was possible. Day 31 was another given level, and day 32 was a boss fight, which, like most of the levels in this world, was quite easy, and gave us the key to Far Future. I forgot I forgot which one this was. Oh, Far Future. Nice. The main thing with this world is robots and electronic suits, which you may be able to guess with the whole future part of the name. But with that said, they aren't here for day one, which led to a swift victory, because the other part of this world are the power tiles, which if you plant food a plant that's on a power tile, it also plant foods any plant that are on the same color of power tile, if that made any sense. Day 2 introduces the first of the electronic zombies with the guy who's aptly named the shield zombie. And if you couldn't guess what it does, it makes a shield. But it's 3 wide and blocks any attacks, even any single use plants ahead of it. That's, if by any, I mean the potato man. Day 3 throws me into a game of jetpack joyride, as these flying fucks can just fly over any of my plants except from the 2 you could probably guess. With this level though, we do get blowover, which I'm giving a modest B rating, as it's quite useful for more than just the jetpack zombies, which we'll see in a short while. Day 4 is the first of a few sunbomb levels, and these are amazing because I can easily use these to just murder the zombies, which causes the level to not only be easy, there goes the whole way, but also quite satisfying. Day 5 introduces the first zombie that isn't a gargantuan and requires 2 insta-kills for it to be defeated, which that guy takes 2 insta-kills. Makes it a bit harder, but not too much. The other thing this level introduces is the first plant rank change, because when I rank the plants, it's mostly dependent on how they are in the worlds I'm currently facing, and I could not have foreseen how utterly useless the chili bean is in this world. Yeah, these guys don't get affected by the chili bean. And while it was originally an S tier plant, as it literally can't do anything to the robot zombies, it's being downgraded to A, which is still good, but just not as good. Apart from that, and before the next level, day 6 and 8 are both either given or conveyors, and as I had to re-record levels 3 to 9, those will be shown. I can't be... So, turns out I didn't record fucking 7 levels. I'm pissed. Day 6 and day 8 were either given or conveyor belt levels. So I'm not doing this again. Day 7 is a very easy level, especially with blowover in my arsenal. Day 9 is also quite easy, and at the end gave me what I originally thought would be a great plant, the EM Peach. The only issue in this world are the robots, and the plant we're about to get after this level just completely disregards the whole thing. But it's quite awful, and it's being put in D tier because while I don't use it, I did for a round or 2. Day 10 introduces some type of iron lung contraption which summons in some jetpack disco zombies, and while the iron lung is too short, I can just blow over the disco zombies away. Nice. I'm gonna save this second column for squash. Day 11 is the first last standing over a world, and like normal is only potato mines, this time with a spare line for other plants, but either way it wasn't too bad. Day 12 is the introduction of the gargantuan, which in this world shoots lasers to damage plants, meaning if it could aim, which it should have still aim labs to help, it may be able to damage our plants. Day 13 introduces the mecha football zombie, who other than appearance is nothing like the football zombie, as in this case it just pushes some plants away instead of running into them. Day 14 is another level where I have to budget my sun, which I don't need to stress about. Day 15 is an endangered citron level, which I was originally a bit worried about, but wasn't an issue at all. Day 16 and 17 were both a conveyor and given level, which is just amazing. Day 18 is another level that requires sun, which I'm one world from allowing it, and I still don't know why I did it like this. But day 19 is another sunbomb level, which, like the first one, was very easy and satisfying. Day 20 is the first impossible level in far future, as the star fruits are frankly just awful, and my plants can only hold on so much with 3 tiles of space, so just gonna skip that one. Day 21 is another sun level. Okay, I can't do this one either. And day 22 is a last stand level, which according to my notes is easy as hell. Oh, I did it. That was easy as hell. Day 23 is probably the most revolutionary level in this whole challenge, as I start to plant the squash, potato mite and chili bean as soon as they're ready, which means the start is a bit more defended. Don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Other than that, this level is a budget sun and budget plant level, and while it normally isn't a big issue, I lost all but one mower, which was actually quite surprising. Day 24 is the penultimate level in this world, and is also the last level with the sun bombs, which somehow we lost the mower. After this level though, we got the tower turnip, which is also going into D tier, as I'm never going to use it willingly. Turnip. Day 25 is the boss level, which is also an easy one. Nice. Which gives me the key to Dark Ages and the start of using sun producers. This is going to be tragic. I'm going to swap out the jalapeno, because we're only allowing myself 2 premium plants. And I'm going to grab this one. Gives an instant burst of sun. I could get this one, but it costs 100 sun already, and I don't have that. This is the world with the least levels, and that's probably for a good reason, as the main gimmick of this world is that sun just doesn't drop from the sky. And for me, that means I can finally introduce the sun producer for this world, which is the gold bloom. And this is the only one that I can use, because it's the only one that I can actually afford and have be useful, and for that reason it's going into the S tier. However, it isn't the only thing I can do to get sun, because this world comes with graves that give sun and also plant food. But if you remember back in ancient Egypt, the only thing I really used the grave buster for was for stalling, and that means I kind of just forgot about it. This should be very easy. Obviously I can't destroy the grave buster is back in play. Damn! How much should I start with? I don't know. Day, or I guess night 1, I'm still going to call them days. Like in every world, it's just a normal zombie level, meaning it's quite easy. As in, it wasn't easy, as even with the sun producer, I somehow didn't have enough sun. This one gives like 300 sun, and I lost it all somehow. Wow, I'm actually surprised I did that. Got 19 levels of this. I'm going to be honest, I'm dreading this world so much. Anyways, day 1 must have been a fluke or something, because day 2 was incredibly easy, and because of that, as well as both Lost City and Far Future also being easy, I created a temporary rule, you'll see why it's temporary soon, which limits me to 5 single-use plants per level. I'm setting a rule in motion, a restriction now, because it's been quite easy since I learned that strategy. So I can either ban that strategy, basically meaning placing the plants when I get them, or I'm restricting myself to 5 plants maximum. So this is the amount. These are the only plants I'm allowing myself to bring now. Obviously, if it gets too hard, I will just revert back to the original. And even with that rule, day 3 was very easy. No. It's gonna be him. It's gonna be like a different plant, yeah, or is it a conveyor? Day 4 is a conveyor level with hypno shrooms and grave busters, which for some reason I originally didn't exclusively use them, but I came back and did it quite easily, and that's why I don't get anything other than money from it. Day 5 introduces the first special zombie with the Jester, and this zombie can turn into a tornado which reflects projectiles from it, and it can gain immunity and speed against some certain plants that must be easy to function. And before I go into its weaknesses, let's have a look at its origin section. It's a masterpiece. Anyways, it literally does nothing to stop me, as it's weak to all of my plants, meaning day 5 isn't too bad. Day 6 was a last stand level, and was easy enough, meaning we unlock the Sunbeam, which I'm putting in C tier, as in normal levels it's nowhere near the same level as the Gold Bloom, and as it costs 50 sun, it means I will only be able to kill 2 zombies, as each of those give 35 sun, which isn't enough for another Sunbeam. Day 7 was another easy level, as once again it was just the regular zombies. Day 8 was a given plants level, and day 9 introduced the evil potions that buff zombies, except they don't buff them to resist my plants, like fuck them. Day 10 is another conveyor level, which while it says that the grave buster and potato mines appear, there is one singular grave buster and an 8% chance for a potato mine, which have a maximum of 3 of them, so I'm skipping it. Day 11 introduces the most annoying zombie in this world, the wizard. This zombie turns our plants into sheep, which means they can just pass through them. Thankfully, if it's killed, all the plants return to number, which is different to a future zombie that I don't even want to start on. But Either way, this is the most annoying zombie in this world, especially because of the one in each lane approach the game basically always takes with these new zombies. Day 12 is an endangered plants level, with the only difficulty being plant fooding the endangered plants because they just start to disappear if you don't. And I also forgot one attempt. No! Right at the end. But other than that, it was completely fine. You got the Excalibur, or whatever it's called. It could be given plants, watch. Day 13 is a conveyor, and day 14 is the first sun level we can actually give a good attempt on, which would have been very easy if it gave me the gold bloom, but I was still able to use the sunbeam and gravebuster to get as much as I can, which after one fail, because I forgot 90 sun.
Oh my god, look, I'm literally 90 off.
Was completely possible. Day 15 was another last sand level, which, because of wizards mixing with the lack of sun, costed me 2 moments. Day 16 introduces the zombie king, who just kind of sits there and makes the zombies into knights, which may be annoying in a regular playthrough, but this isn't that, so the zombies just look a bit cooler, I guess. With that said, day 16 was easy, and day 17 was another evil potions level, which once again changed absolutely nothing. This was followed by a given plants level on day 18 and an endangered plants level on day 19, which had 3 magnets, but as those are actually good and the only gargantuans were set on the other 2 lanes, it was quite easy. The final day, day 20, was the boss level, which other than losing a couple because the boss couldn't shoot fire quick enough, was quite simple. But after defeating the boss, we get the key to Neon Mixtape Tour, which is where everything falls apart.
Now for Neon Mixtape Tour.
Neon Mixtape Tour has the strangest gimmick of any world, with different music playing, which changes how the zombies work, as it can increase speed or begin some zombies' abilities. As well as that, this world has probably the highest amount of new zombies out of every world, and out of the 6 plants that you can get in this world, and the 3 that I can actually use, only 1 is actually good. Either way, let's start how each world begins with an easy as hell day 1 to make me feel a bit good. Day 2 introduces the punk zombie.
Who the fuck's this?
Which, like the mecha football zombie in Far Future, kicks plants ahead a spot, and I'd like you to guess the only fully armed plant that's affected by this kicking feature. The chili bean, which is another reason it's been moved to A. This level is thankfully easy to handle against the punk zombie, but it won't stay that way for long. Day 3 is a conveyor level, yay. And day 4 we get limited to 4 plant choices instead of 5, but it only lost me 2 mowers, which is better than all of them. Day 5 is an endangered plants level with 2 walnuts and 2 of the absolute worst plants I've ever seen. I can't describe why I hate them so much, but I just do. Day 6 is another conveyor level. Great. Day 7 introduces, like most of the upcoming zombies, one of the worst zombies for this challenge, with this one being the glitter zombie. When the music is playing, this zombie will emit a 1x3 rainbow trail behind them, which protects any zombies in that trail from any damage until either she dies or the music ends. The worst part about this zombie is that they insta-kill any plants while the music is playing, and as the zombies behind are protected, I can't use any multi-zombie insta-kills like the cherry bomb, but I can use the iceberg lettuce to freeze that zombie and have the other ones behind it walk past it. With that explained, day 7 is incredibly close to failing because all mowers got launched before the final wave, which is obviously problematic, but it was thankfully only just doable. No way did I do it. I can't believe it. I'm actually so surprised I did that. That is a tragic level. Right, I'm gonna have to remove it, so I'm gonna bring in jalapeno. Day 8 was a real difficult level for me, as I started by removing the 5 plant limit I had for a small amount of time. Why is there so many zombies? There's fucking 5 there. I'm happy I did that because I failed so many times that the winning attempt, it seems like I completely forgot that squash was a premium plant and I ended up having 3 here, but I did fail the level previously, so I say it's kind of fair. Day 9 was a given level and I can't really complete it with only iceberg lettuce and stunnion. The biggest thing, however, is that this level unlocks the best of the best. The only plant in this whole challenge that makes everything 10 times easier, the time warp. I'm not going to put in the effort to make like an edit, but someone else do that with this background music. Boom. No, I'm not even going to. That was that was genuinely the worst thing I've ever done. Day 10 is a conveyor level that I can't complete.
Oh my god.
Day 11 was the first and probably only given plant level in the whole game that I can very, very comfortably complete using only single-use plants, with it giving me 4 that I can use. Another thing I want to talk about is the zombie introduced in the last couple of levels, the microphone zombie, which when some rap music is playing, I didn't even realize different music played. When the rap music is playing, the microphone zombie will spin his microphone in a 3x3 area around him, which kills every non-defensive plant in that area. Now, you may see an issue here, which is a bit obvious, but it is a bit more manageable with the use of time warp. And just because of how useful time warp is, unless we really need it, we're not going to use time warp, because that just made the last level really easy. Day 12 introduces this world's gargantuan, and while I normally wouldn't talk about it, this one is completely different because when this gargantuan hits the ground, it sends a damaging shockwave in the lane it's on, which obviously damages plants, and most of the time in my case ends up killing them because of how many times it hits the ground. But thankfully, if you place both of these close enough to the gargantuan, both the squash and cherry bomb don't get affected by it. Day 13 is the first impossible last stand since I think Frostbite Caves, and it's all because of how many zombies there are. Even with the time warp, there are just too many for me to deal with at the end. Day 14 is another given plants level, as like, bro, can't do everything with just the time warp. Day 15, like 13, is another impossible level. This time, however, is because of the Beats of Prey, which I wrote in the notes here. Like Beats by Dre, but Prey, lol. But it's mostly just because they can't do fuck all for themselves. Day 16 is the gargantuan level, and it's probably the start of the major downfall. Day 17 introduces the breakdancer zombie, which if rap music is playing, it will spin and kick zombies ahead by 1.5 tiles. Now, something I didn't realize is how easily this could be countered with blower, as if I timed it right, any zombies kicked ahead could be blown away. In the end though, this was completable after losing most mowers. Day 18 was once again a close level, losing most of my mowers. Day 18 was a conveyor level, which was incredibly easy because it was promoting some premium plants.
What's this? Is it just like the lightning reed? Just like the lightning reed, yeah. But like, shit, what?
What?
Damn, that's quite powerful.
Day 20 had a ton of zombies by the end, meaning I lost all but 2 mowers. Day 21 had some flowers in the middle of the lawn, meaning I couldn't rely on the mowers, which I've been doing for the past few levels. So after one fail,
That's BS!
and one pre-launched mower, which I nearly forgot about, I was able to complete the level. Only just.
Woo! I forgot I could launch the... yeah. Oh, what the fuck?
Day 22 was a conveyor level, which also introduces what I think is the coolest zombie in the game, the arcade zombie, who pushes these arcade machines which spawn really cool pixelated zombies, which make this very difficult to deal with, as these can constantly be pushed ahead, and I really need to deal with them quickly. But as shown in day 23, they can only really be damaged when using the cherry bomb or other plants like that deal AoE damage. If I don't deal with them, it can be very difficult, which is also shown in this level with all my mowers being used. Day 24 is another last stand level, and it's probably only possible because of the breakdancer zombie, as the arcade zombies would normally trample any potato mines when they push the arcade machines ahead, all until they get pushed ahead a few spots by the breakdancer zombie, which is very helpful. Other than that, the mowers went off a bit early, but it turned out completely fine. Day 25 was carried by the mowers as I ran out of sun at the end. Day 26 was an endangered level, and was where the microphone guy really became an issue, because even though it should only really damage one plant at a time, as it hits in the 3x3 area, at least 2 are going to be defeated, which will obviously doom the attempt.
What the fuck?
But thankfully on the winning attempt, I killed him just before it got close enough, and as a reward we got...
Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking so smug?
which is being put in detail. It's not really good.
Who's this guy?
Day 27 was another conveyor level, and day 28 introduces the boombox guy, which not only is it in my opinion, quite late to introduce a new zombie. But this one is actually quite annoying as it holds up a boombox that immobilizes any plants on the lawn, which includes most of my plants. But thankfully he overrides any current music that's playing and slows down zombies a lot, which is very welcome, but I did lose all my mowers and only just one. Day 29 was a difficult level where I lost all but one mower.
It's getting mad. It's insane.
Day 30 is another level that shows just how difficult the microphone guy is, especially with 3 waves of zombies.
That wasn't the last wave?
Thankfully, with more sun, it was quite easy compared to the others.
Right, that went more successful than previous levels.
And day 31 is a given plants level.
Oh my god, man. Okay, so these next 2 levels are impossible.
It seems to always be that. What the hell? Now, day 32 is the boss fight, and this one is the sole reason I say how each of them go in terms of difficulty, because this was a whole different level of hard. Now, I know this isn't a level I can even try with just single-use plants, but I do want to show it. This boss has 5 different sections with different zombies.
5?
First is the punk zombies, then it's the glitter zombies, then microphone, arcade, and finally the gargantuans. And I've talked about each of these and why they're all difficult by themselves, but mixed with this small space, it's absolutely criminal. Either way, after 30 minutes of straight failed attempts, I want to show you the end of this boss fight just because of how close it was. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was so worried I was gonna lose that. I was so worried I was gonna lose that. Anyways. On to Jurassic Marsh. That was incredibly close. I can't imagine what the next one's gonna be like. After the tragedy that was Neo Mixtape Tour, I had a quick look back at a couple of the problems I had, and I do want to do a quick rank change because I was sorely mistaken about a plant that would have completely carried us, the jalapeno. Now, I did originally rank this at a C, but I think it's now deserving of a high B tier because most of the zombies that gave me problems in that last world could have been much easier if I just used a jalapeno. With that covered, it's on to Jurassic Marsh. Jurassic Marsh's main gimmick is, well, dinosaurs, each of which work in completely different ways, and I'll go over them when they appear. Before that though, we have Day 1, which is the first Day 1 that introduces something different other than the normal zombies, and in this case, it's the fossil head. The main difference between this and a regular zombie is that for a couple of my plants, mostly the squash, which is very different to how it normally is, but for the squash it needs to hit this zombie twice to actually kill it. I don't know why it's any different. Other than that, it's just a completely regular level.
What does that say?
This epoch
It's known for its unusual life forms.
oh, dinosaurs. They won't attack us directly and we can't affect them, however they will definitely react to zombies. Oh, who's this? Day 2 introduces the first of the dinosaurs, and in this case it's the Velociraptor, who, like quite a few zombies in the recent worlds, I don't know why it's such a big trend, the Velociraptor hits other zombies close to the mowers, but unlike those other zombies, the Velociraptor makes the use of the potato mine much harder, as it pushes them a bit too close for the potato mine to have enough space to charge, which is quite annoying. Day 3 is the first conveyor belt in this world, and although I don't realise it yet, it gives me one of the best single-use plants in the whole game, the Grape Shot. The Grape Shot explodes in a 3x3 area, dealing damage to all enemies caught in the blast, and 8 grapes will also be released after the initial explosion that ricochets up to 5 times, and because of how good it is, it's yet another plant going into the S tier, but for now I don't realise just how good it is. That will come up in modern day. Day 4 is another normal level with the exact same zombies as previous levels. Angry Walnut. Sorry. Day 5 is only different due to the addition of this world's imp, which isn't a big issue at all. I've got a trembling! My dinos. It's gonna be the tail stuff thing. Thing. Who's this? Day 6 introduces the second dinosaur, the Stegosaurus, which uses its tail to spread zombies into different lanes, which is only a big issue if they get moved into lanes without mowers. Other than that, it's not too bad. Day 7 is a conveyor and flowers level with any single-use plants coming later on, which I'm happy I don't need to deal with.
And there's a new plant.
Oh. It's gonna be given.
Oh no, it isn't.
Day 8 gives us the perfume shroom, which is a single-use plant that makes the dinosaurs help us and kill the zombies, which would be great if this world is anything like the previous world, being very difficult. But spoiler alert, this is the easiest out of the last 3. By the way, I'll give it a C tier because it costs a ton of sun and can maybe kill 3 zombies at a maximum.
I was gonna be a pterodactyl. Oh, okay.
Day 9 is another conveyor, but also introduces the pterodactyl, which, like prospector zombies back in Wild West, is no issue as it just makes zombies go backwards from the end of the lawn, which doesn't change anything. Day 10 is the first free choice level with the pterodactyl, and really just shows how useless it is against us. Other than that, we do lose 1 mower. Day 11 has only 1 dinosaur, the pterodactyl, so you can have a very quick guess on how difficult this was for me. Day 12 is a level where I can't lose plants, which is probably good as the gargantuan is in this level. Day 13, like day 10, only loses me 1 mower, which is quite decent. Day 14 is a given plants. What? Given plants? Yeah. Ooh. Wait. But it gives me 3 plants that I can use, being the iceberg lettuce, perfume shroom, and grape shot, which is quite limiting, but was possible after losing us 2 mowers. Day 15 was an endangered plants level with 2 absolutely no. Why don't I don't need to add fucking adjectives. Day 15 was an endangered plants level with 2 angry walnuts, and although it wasn't very noticeable in day 14, the gargantuan in this world needs 3 insecures for it to die, which is quite annoying but also manageable. Either way, after 1 fail, this day is completely fine. What the fuck? Day 16, the gargantuan level is impossible with only single-use plants as they only appear at the end, like normal. Day 17 was apparently the, in quotation marks, easiest day ever.
That was the easiest day ever.
Day 18 introduces the T-Rex, which is the absolute worst dinosaur for this challenge as it makes every single zombie in the lane go Mach 10 towards our plants, and if we aren't careful, they could most likely make a mower go off, and although half the mowers did go off in the first of the 3 waves, it was thankfully completable. Whoa! I'm actually going through this world quite quickly. If it's not a gimmick level, it's easy, it seems. The dinosaurs don't seem to be an issue. Except the T-Rex, the one that speeds up the fuckers. I did not know they were going to be that fast. Day 19 was another conveyor with no single-use plants. Day 20 was a sun level, which was thankfully no stress with it only being 2,000. Nice. More than 2 hits. God blame Dragon's Tooth. No, not a toenail. Oh, that's a claw. Day 21 was the first level with all 4 dinosaurs and also introduces the Jurassic Bully, which was described as too dumb to care about physics or something like that. Too stupid to observe typical physics is mad. None of my plants really change physics though, so we're completely fine. Day 22 was the first last stand in this world. Plan your defense. Shut up. Oh, I don't know why I said that. Which, well, it used most of the potato mines, it was fine.
Damn, that was easy.
Day 23 was where we were given the best plant in this world, the primal potato mine. Oh, primal potato mines. Hooray! And this is absolutely amazing as it not only arms way quicker than the normal potato mine, but it also blows zombies up in a 3x3 area around it, which you could probably guess what tier it's going in. Day 24 is a completely normal level. Day 25 introduces the bull dinosaur, more formally known as the one sec, how do I pronounce this? What the fuck? That's a weird way to pronounce it. Ankylosaurus, more formerly known as the Ankylosaurus. I fucking mispronounced it as well. The bull dinosaur hits zombies far ahead, which is basically just the velociraptor, but a bit harder to deal with, especially when it appears in every single fucking lane. Nice, perfect, easy. I might attempt 5 only. Day 26 introduces Dave's slime things. Does anyone even know what these are? Anyways, I attempted to limit myself to 5 plants maximum, which didn't stay for many levels, and it makes sense as we only just beat this level. Okay, it's possible. Not very comfortably, but it's possible. Day 27 is another last stand level, which, now equipped with the primal potato mine, is incredibly easy. Day 28 was the second choice level, trying a 5 plant limit, which was only possible when using more than 5. I'll bring in the other plants though, just in case. So these two I'm gonna try not to use.
What? Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna use this. But okay, I could have probably done it with 5, but you know. Day 29 was a given level, and although it gives me the primal potato mine, it just isn't possible. I'm not gonna try that with only primal potato mine. That's not gonna happen. Day 30 is the last choice level in this world, and decides to give 4 flags, which is absolutely fabulous, making me lose all but 1 mower. Great. We've had the last given one when I don't want to try it with single uses. Day 31, like every single world, is a given plants level. I don't know why it always does this, it just kind of is. And while day 31 has the primal potato mine, I don't think that's possible either. I'm actually quite worried about this boss fight. If it's anything like Neon Mixtape Tour, I don't want to do it. My infuriation is... what the hell does that even mean? A pockle. Is there no way I'm a... oh, shut up. Actually, shut up. Robot dinosaur. And finally, day 32 is the boss fight, which is apparently easy as fuck. What? What? No part of that was difficult. What? How can we go from the Jurassic period to 1960s? Right, 2 hours left. I'm worried about this one. Like all playthroughs, Big Wave Beach is a very difficult world, and it's basically known for being difficult. The whole gimmick of this world is that it's a beach, and every level has a tide line marked by seaweed that indicates where the water will rise to, which if the water touches a plant that isn't on a lily pad, it will basically just drown it. And obviously, as the lily pad is not a single use plant, I can't use it. Because of that, the tide will be a bigger issue in this challenge. Look at this beautiful beach. Got every plant, everything a growing plant needs. My senses indicate that zombies on your beach have far too much water. I don't have lily pads. But without further ado, day 1 is very easy, a true shock. Day 2 instantly throws 3 waves of zombies at us, which is great for the second day, but thankfully it wasn't too bad. Day 3, like always, is a conveyor belt, which is great. Day 4 was basically the exact same as day 2 with the 3 waves of zombies, and also still being very easy. Day 5 is another conveyor level, and while it has tangle kelp, there's only a small chance for it to appear, with a maximum of 10. With that said, the tangle kelp is amazing for this world, and only this world, so as it's only really usable here, I don't have much use for it, so I'm going to put it into C tier. Day 6 introduces the snorkel zombie, which hides from normal plants until it comes up to eat a plant, and guess how much it affects me? Not at all. Every single use plant can affect it, so it's not an issue. Day 7 is the first level with a full tide, basically meaning if the plants aren't on lily pads, they die. Thankfully though, if I plant food a plant that's on a lily pad, the lily pad also gets the plant food effect, which means it duplicates. Day 8 is bowling, Oh god. Then I'm not even reading that out. What was I thinking when I wrote this script, man? Day 10 is a conveyor belt, and day 11 picked most of my plants again, and also introduced a server guy who just fucking... This guy's very difficult, so he did end up losing once, but it was decent in attempt 2. Day 12 is the last stand level, but with no extra sun after the setup, we lost all but one mower. Day 13 was a produce sun and don't plant more than X plants level, which not only had a small 2000 sun that I had to produce, which is easy, but the number of plants I can't plant more than is 35. Either way, the don't plant more than X plants level is broken in this update, so I don't need to worry about it. Day 14 was the given plants level, and day 15 I don't think is or will ever be possible with single use plants because it's an endangered plants level with a line of potato mines. But the worst part about it is that the tide goes right before the potato mines, meaning I can't defend them at all times. Bingo! Bingo, bingo, gotta bingo. So guys, I don't know what I'm doing. Brains. Beach zombie bungo. Dude, like you're totally in for it now. Oh, shut up, please. Day 16 was a conveyor belt, and day 17 introduces the octopus zombie, which was the zombie I was referring to when I talked about the wizard in Dark Ages, because unlike the wizard, when the squids get thrown onto the plants, they don't leave after killing the octopus zombie, meaning I'll have to kill them myself, which is only possible using AoE plants like the cherry bomb. Thankfully, it wasn't detrimental in this level, with us only losing one mower. Day 18 was another conveyor, and day 19 chose most plants for us. I remember when there weren't many gimmick levels. Anyways, this time we lost 3 mowers, which was annoying. Day 20 was the second level, where there was a full tide, and this time we lost all but one mower. And this is followed by another conveyor level on day 21, and then the introduction of another awful zombie for this challenge, the fisherman. The main reason this zombie is so bad for us is that most of my plants can't reach it, and as it's right at the end of the lawn, I can't really place any lily pads or anything in the water, except for the tangle kelp, but I'll get into that. This means I can't go anywhere near to it, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The fisherman itself uses its fishing rod to hook plants and bring them into the water, or at least closer to them, and it always goes for the closest plant, so it normally gets a lily pad, but if it does get one of my plants, it could just completely drown it. And while I could place the tangle kelp, there are normally more than one at the same time, meaning at least one of them will wood a plant or two. For this level though, it's completely fine until day 23, basically the next level, where we have to protect these banana launchers because these zombies, especially the fishermen, are absolutely relentless. Sadly, I failed a ton of times. What? Right at the end? No! 5 zombies. 5, one of them. Oh, fuck. Fuck's sake, holy shit. And it seemed like I started to go crazy on the final attempt. Banana, 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 banana. But in the end, it was thankfully possible. Banana. Woo! I did it. It was one more attempt and I did the... This joy of a level was followed by some bowling. I'm not doing it, yeah. No, there isn't. Hello? Where's the... Hello? Day 25 was a budget sun level and also a kill enough zombies in time, which, while attempt 1 was basically perfect, I failed at the last second when I attempted to use the cherry bomb. No! And although attempt 2 won it, it was completed with way less mowers, which is annoying. And day 26 was my favourite level, a conveyor belt. That was bad. There was meant to be a joke there, but it was... anyways. Oh my god, this is insane. Day 27 picked most of my plants for me, but in my opinion there was no way I could do this. Day 28 was a level where I couldn't lose plants, and day 29 was a crawl last stand with a full tide, and it gave me 6 places to put plants, and all of them were lily pads, so I could only really place chili beans, and somehow it was actually possible, but we did lose all the mowers. Holy, that's possible? What? I can't believe that was possible. Day 30 was an endangered plants level with plants that just love jumping to conclusions as they instantly charge zombies as soon as they get hit. But as these are endangered, that isn't good, and I think it's impossible. Day 31, like in every single world, is another given plants level. And day 32 is the boss fight. Right, boss level. I'm worried. Okay. Which was fairly easy and gave us the key to modern day. Right, final world. I don't want the tumbleweed. We've now reached the final world, and the main gimmick with this world is that portals can randomly appear from other worlds that bring that world's zombies into modern day. With that said, day 1 was for once not just the regular zombies because of the portals that can show up. We're gonna see how far we can get with the limited amount of plants, but I don't promise we'll get far. The ones that can show up in day 1 are Ancient Egypt, Pirate Seas, and Far Future. Neither of these have any zombies I need to really worry about, especially because the only real problem, the seagull zombie, can reach the chili bean and will eat it. And also the shield zombie can be hit by the purple potato mine, even if it's triggered with the shield. The moonflower emits sun today, but that is not all. I don't care. Oh, camel guy. I'm gonna have to use my jalapeno. Day 2 only had zombies from Ancient Egypt and Big Wave Beach as the portals, but it was the 2 worst ones from the beach, and also had camel zombies, which could thankfully be mostly dealt with using the primal potato mine. But in the end, because of a lack of sun, we lost 3 mowers, which was very annoying. This was followed by a predictable conveyor, as is day 3, which, while it came with Shrinking Violet, that doesn't do any damage, so I can't use it. With that said, I'm ranking the Shrinking Violet at a D because I really don't have a use for it at all. Day 4 was a tragic day. Oh my, I don't want to do this. As it came with the glitter zombies and a fuck ton of other zombies. Those 2 costed me basically all my mowers. I could have used a jalapeno, but I didn't think of it at this point. Day 5 introduced a new zombie, the newspaper zombie. This zombie runs at Mach 10 if we destroy its newspaper, but normally it'll get killed in 1 hit, so it wouldn't be a big issue. Day 6 was a sun level that was actually very difficult and required me to constantly stall the final zombie while having most gold tiles be used just so I could get enough sun, but it was possible. Day 7 brings a good amount of octo zombies, meaning all of our plants will get bear hugged by the squids, which then in turn makes it so that the zombies can just walk past the mowers with no repercussions. Oh, fuck's sake. Day 8 is a new Candy Crush DLC, which is nice. Oh, I did it. Where's it going? Day 9 is another given plants level. Okay, it's helium. Oh, not balloon. Oh wait, it's gonna be, yeah, I thought so. Oh my. And introduces the balloon zombie, that's just awful later on. But it can be sorted out with the squash, or if I would have remembered earlier, a blover, which would have completely just nullified it. Anyways, day 10 contains the most zombies in probably any level where you choose your plants because of day 16. What is this? But thankfully it doesn't bring that bad of zombies, apart from the weasel who caused me to lose once. But at the end of the level, we did get the Shadow Shroom, which I'm putting into C tier, because while the armor piercing isn't very different to other single uses, when the Shadow Shroom is plant fooded, every zombie that's on the lawn will get affected by it, meaning giant hordes of zombies can get killed if there's enough space. Day 11 was quite very easy, with me losing no mowers at all. Day 12 is a level where I can't lose plants. Day 13 was another Candy Crush DLC. And day 14 was a given level. That's quite a few gimmicks in a row, isn't it? Day 15 was an endangered plants level where the gargantuans, like always, were sent in a different lane than the endangered plants. So it was easy, only losing a couple more because of balloons and stupidity. That's over?
Look, Penny, where'd I go?
No, it's a trap. Huh? Day 16 was this world's gargantuan level, which had just gargantuans, which was actually quite fun, although I did lose it a ton of times. I think we've done it. Nice, holy shit. And day 17 wasn't a problem at all either. Day 18 is a perfect example on why rule 3 is in place, because days 18, 20, 21, 24, 26 and 29 all used 3 premium plants and were all incredibly easy, so I had to redo them. And surprise surprise, it was way harder without the 3. So let's start on day 18, and if you remembered from earlier on, I did mention how I kind of forgot about Blover, which is where this issue really comes in, because the balloon zombie can only be taken out by the squash and the Blover, which is very problematic if more than one show up at the same time, which it does. However, there is more than just that, as the main problem I have is with the sun, as it's lackluster to say the least. So without it, I did end up struggling. Thankfully, I only needed to lose 2 mowers to the balloon zombies for day 18. Day 19 was a conveyor, which was followed by the second level I redid, day 20, which is quite easy compared to the other ones I had to redo, although there were still some difficulties in terms of sun. Day 21, firstly, added the football zombie that runs into a plant to destroy it, which doesn't affect me. But in terms of why it was difficult with only 2 premium plants, was a bit different from the rest, as this level's biggest downfall was the portals with help from the balloon zombies, because when the last wave happens, I don't have enough squashes to get all the balloon zombies, meaning the mowers go off, but the portals are still there, meaning that zombies keep coming out of them, which caused me to fail a few times. Day 22 was the next DLC for Candy Crush, and day 23 was the introduction of the Grim Rose, which, as it can literally sink any zombies into the floor and kill them, I'm ranking it at a B. The biggest downfall with the Grim Rose though is that I don't know where it's going to aim, and it might just sink the wrong zombies into the floor. But anyways, day 23 was quite easy, and day 24 was one of the easier levels that I had to redo. Day 25 was a conveyor which only had the smug carrot, but I'm quite confused on if I should count this or not, because I'm reviving plants that aren't single use, but I'm using a single use to revive them. I don't know if I should count that or not. I guess technically it's weird, because while I kind of did it with only single use plants, it was reviving plants that I shouldn't use. And day 26 was when I, after a couple of fails, finally used the Blover, which, while it had the Blover, was still one of the hardest out of all of them. Day 27, Candy Crush. Day 28 was one I ended up having to redo. I might be able to. This time it was because of the 4 premium plants I bought in, and also I ended up buying plant food, but I did realise I didn't need to do that at all. Day 29 was, like all levels that use premium plants, very difficult, especially with getting enough sun, but it was possible after losing 3 mowers. Day 30 was the only one in this world that I actually had to bring 3 premium plants into, because, well, look at it. Either way, it was still fucking incredibly close to failing. Holy, I can't believe I did that. I cannot believe I did that. Holy! I cannot believe I did that. Day 31, also known as the last non-boss fight in this world, was surprisingly easy when I was beating it with only 2 premium plants. And I did end up having some leftover sun at the end, which is a first. Anyways, no mowers were used for this, and now it's time for the boss fights. In this world, the boss fights work a bit different because there are 3 of them to start, and they are all previous boss fights from other worlds. The first can either be Ancient Egypt, Pirate Seas, or Wild West, and I got Ancient Egypt, but either would have been completely fine, to be honest. Okay, easy. I can do this one.
Can it be true? Hello, press stretch.
Oh, fuck you, I don't care. Tacos. Easy. Don't ignore the 2 lawnmowers, that's not there. Oh, a gift! The second boss fight could have been either Far Future, Dark Ages, or Big Wave Beach, and I got Far Future, which was probably the second best. I imagine Dark Ages might have been a bit easier. Not too sure though. This is Far Future, it's not too bad. Why am I getting these ones? There's another plant food. Okay, this is actually the easiest I've ever had. That was easier than Ancient Egypt. The amount of plant food I got was insane. The final boss is between Big Wave Beach, Lost City, Neon Mixtape Tour and Jurassic Marsh. And by far the easiest is Neon Mixtape Tour, but I have some previous history with that boss fight. The final boss fight. Let's see what we get. No! So I kept trying Jurassic Marsh and just kept failing until I finally attempted Neon Mixtape Tour. I'm gonna try Neon Mixtape Tour because it has way better plants that I can use, because I didn't realize how it worked until now. Nice, that was so easy. Why did I not go for that earlier? Okay, you can stop attacking. He's dead. Is he getting stunned? He's getting stunned. There we are. David, I implore you. You must give up your hopeless dream of a long ago taco. It is gone forever, but please take this. Just a singular exclamation mark. Can you shut up? Oh, two? I don't count that. Is that... It can't be... A taco with a waffle in it. High level... Oh, God.
I have a crush.
Oh, my God. What? There is one group of levels that I still need to defeat. And that is the levels that I deemed impossible while playing. But now, hopefully I can do them. I hope I can. If not, then I'm fucked. For the level fixes, I'm going to go in order of the worlds, as you may be able to guess. And the first one is Ancient Egypt, and the first day is day 20. The main reason this wasn't originally possible is because I only had 2 plants then, and they couldn't reload fast enough. But big surprise, it's very easy now. The last impossible level in Ancient Egypt is day 22, which is another level which was a problem due to the 2 plants we had, but you can probably guess how it is. Those are all of the Ancient Egypt levels, and while we only had 2 there, Pirate Seas for some reason had 11, which is insane. But starting off with the first one, Pirate Seas Day 11 was impossible because of these spawner blocks, but with Grape Shot we can just... Next with Day 13 was a Sun level, which we can now complete, and to quickly get them out of the way, the other Sundays are 19, 20 and 21, all of which are very easy. Day 14 was the first impossible last stand level. And again, with the Grape Shot, it's easy to clear everyone out. Day 15 was a Flowers level and Spawner block level, but you could probably guess the MVPs. Day 22 was the worst level in Pirate Seas, which was a last stand level of only spawner blocks, but was possible due to the leftover sun. Day 23 was a level that I mentioned in the first video, which was possible with the plants we had at that point, but only when we had the instant recharge from Wild West. But either way, here's a completion with all the plants we now have. Day 24 used to be impossible because of the endangered spring beans, as they get eaten quite easily, especially with the spawner blocks, but the Grape Shot solves it all. It's amazing. And with that day done, all of the previously impossible Pirate Seas levels are now doable. Wild West had a singular enemy that holds the destruction of these levels, which starts with day 10. This is the first level I deemed impossible in this world in my run, and this holds 9 chicken wranglers, but thankfully this level had none on the final wave, which means I didn't need to stress too much. But before I tell you the strategies I used, here are all of the ways that I could beat them. The first of which is either plant fooding an iceberg lettuce to freeze the zombies, or having a zombie in front of the chicken wrangler eat a chili bean to stun it, and then using a squash, which means it dies without releasing the chickens. The plant food is needed for the iceberg lettuce because if the chicken wrangler touches the lettuce, the chickens go haywire. The next way is using a hypno shroom, which even though it looks like it touches it, it gets hypnotized before it could do anything, and it only disperses the chickens to fight for us. And that means if there's a wrangler on the same lane as the wrangler we just hypnotized, it will fight for us and the chickens will go against the other chickens as a kind of like duel. The Grimrose is also pretty good, but is very unreliable because of the reasons I said before, as it will most likely sink a different zombie into the ground. I'm not really sure how it works. Another way is using the Lava Guava, which when initially triggered, it can kill everything in a 3x3 area. and can also kill all the chickens on one tile. The final way, which is the way I beat this level, is by deliberately releasing the chickens and using the grape shot to kill them all because of the grapes that go out and also just the initial damage. The next day, day 14, not only has a ton of chicken wranglers on the final wave, but in total it's nearly double the amount of wranglers that day 10 had at 17. And after bringing in the chili beans / iceberg lettuce and squash, the grape shot and the lava guava, it was surprisingly possible, which is mostly due to the lava guava at the end with the clutch, and also the constant plant fooding of the grape shot when I triggered every wrangler in the wave.
No way.
Either way, I feel justified enough to firstly apologize for raising the lava guava so low initially, but I also feel justified enough to raise the lava guava from a D tier to a low A. The last two levels in Wild West are sadly impossible, starting with day 18. Wild West day 18 is the first completely impossible level out of the two because of the last stand type and because there are 49 chicken wranglers or something like that. This meant I just couldn't do it, especially with the tiny amount of sun I got to use. Day 24 is in the exact same boat, and while it could easily be possible, these 3 endangered walnuts completely screw up any chance of it being possible. But if anyone can complete these 2 days using some single-use plants, that would be insane. With that said, it's on to Frostbite Caves. Day 11 was a level where most plants were picked for me, and in this case, it was extremely difficult. And I tried a ton of different ideas, and there was one main zombie that ended up causing me trouble, the dodo birds. So for the winning attempt, I chose to use the primal potato mine and the blower, which caused it to be very possible. Day 13 was originally difficult because of the amount of imps, but it ended up being very easy when I redid it. Day 23 was the endangered char guard level on every single lane, which we were previously so close to completing, and now with some extra sun it's much easier. Day 24 is the only sun level in this world, so it was very easy. And day 28 was the impossible last stand level that I couldn't complete due to the icy winds. But 2 plants that I've recently upped in the rankings ended up being very useful with the jalapeno and the lava guava. The lava guava is great at heating up our plants in a 3x3 area when they get frozen, and can stay heating them until the lava guava is triggered. And they're also extremely useful against the weasel zombies in the same way they're good against the chicken wranglers. Nevertheless, the lava guava, with some help from the jalapeno, single-handedly solved day 28, and that's also gone into the fact these have been ranked where they are now. That save from the 2 plants meant that Frostbite Caves is completely possible. And now onto the 2 levels from Lost City. Day 12 is just a sun level, which was actually quite close. And day 27 was one that originally had too many zombies, but using the same strategy as most of the levels, we won it and saved most of the mowers. Far Future shares a similar sentiment to the Lost City, this time with 2 sun levels and 1 specifically difficult level. The 2 sun levels, as you may be able to guess, are very simple. These levels did need the sun tomato though. But day 20 was the starfruit level, which had 1 fail, but was possible with the great plants we now have.
Nice, you did it.
Dark Ages is the first world without a single impossible level, which is great and also makes sense with the 20 levels it has. Neo Mixtape Tour only has 3 impossible levels, so let's start with day 5. This was difficult because of, I'm not actually too sure. I didn't even say a reason why it was difficult. Either way, using the time warp and grape shot method that I had, and also launching a mower for the last few, it was incredibly possible. Day 13 was a last stand level, which was originally impossible due to the amount of zombies, but with the primal potato mine it was a breeze. Day 15 was an endangered plants level with 5 fat beets, and while I completed it, it was very stressful and required a decent amount of focus. And after day 15 there are no more impossible levels, meaning we move on to Jurassic Marsh, which only had 1 level that I wrote down, but it doesn't need to be completed as it's a given plants level. For Big Wave Beach there were 3 levels. Firstly, day 15, which is the potato mines, and I've already discussed why I'm not doing that. Day 27 not only gives me 5 total spots to place my plants, but also restricts me to 2 choices, which if it wasn't already difficult due to the 5 spots I could place the plants, it just makes this impossible. Day 30 is another endangered plants level, which is impossible. This time it's due to the fishermen triggering the Crocs ripoff, and as they're endangered, it loses me the level. And as I've already gone over the impossible levels in modern day, it leaves me with a total of 5 impossible levels. Wild West Day 18 and 24, and Big Wave Beach Day 15, 27 and 30. It's quite funny because they're only from 2 worlds and all of them have some type of gimmick that should be normally possible, but in this case they weren't. With all those levels finally beaten, that brings us to the end of the video and the end of this series as a whole. So here's my final tier list, including all the plants I didn't really use at all. But thank you so much for watching. I do have some non-PvZ content that's currently in the works, so to stay notified about that, you could join my Discord or just simply subscribe. But other than that, I do hope to see you soon. See ya. I'm also live a few days of the week, so come and join me if you're free.